How's it going, YouTube? It's Quayver. After finally deciding the name of the series, I welcome you to episode 2 of the Gacha Chronicles, featuring Nikke, the goddess of victory. The criteria remains the same as last time with HSR. We're going to be going through character design, story, combat, equipment, the stamina system, the events in the game, the gacha of the game, the rewards through the game, and for the first time, the PvP inside the game. At the end, when we go through all that and give it a final score, we're also going to give it that stamp of approval as well, just like last time. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it, starting with the character design in the game. Now, as you can see here, there is a lot of different units throughout the game. The yellowish border, like here, you can see like the yellow on it. That means that they are an SSR. The purple here means that they're an SR, and then the blue is an R. You're typically going to only really level the SSRs up to a certain point. And let's just go through. We'll just look at them. This is one of the characters that, obviously one of my favorites, right? I maxed her, but it was so great when she finally came out after all the teasers and seeing it in the story. It's great. But you could just look, but then you have, you know, some designs like this that are like, you know, more towards being cute instead of like, you know, big badonk donks. Moving on. And then we have, you could just see, you know exactly what they're going for. You've heard of this game before. You know exactly what this game is. This game is definitely a coomer game, right? Like, I mean, just look at this new skin that came out. Do you really need to know more than that to know exactly what it's getting in? Just to show you, this is what the original is. So, you know, clearly they know how to make some money and they know how to make some good characters, right? But overall, every design for the game has been incredibly good. I mean, there are some, you know, that are hit and misses, just like how HSR is a Misha, right? No one really cares about Misha. But then this game has characters that you aren't going to want to immediately pull up R34 for, right? And then even in game, you see this is how the model looks in game when you're shooting. This is just target practice, and then when they go and they shoot, you get to see some physics, and then you get to see some extra physics in the reload, you know? Let's see, this Scarlet here really has some good animations for the actual shooting. So you see, even when she's just standing still, you got a good idle animation, and you know what I mean. So they obviously put a lot of effort and a lot of design into each character. I mean, there were some things to where, like, you know, sometimes like with like the feet here, sometimes they were like a little off with some of the new characters. Like there was a complaint during the recent event about how some of them looked a little janky, but that was like more like a rushed event, and they fixed it and things are fine now. But still, I was like, you know, but clearly the character design is very good. And for the cultured gentleman, this is definitely my favorite design that the game has currently for the cultured, and that's the Hillster. Obviously, you could tell why, right? I mean, even just like the physics here with the tail, right? Yeah, the tail right here, and you got, yeah, and she's fucking crazy, right? It's pretty good. I love the anime art style, and I think they really hit the anime art style right on the head. You can look at characters like that have like the 3D art style, like from like Genshin and Honkai, and they all look incredibly amazing, but these just have that really clean 2D anime feel to them, and I'm gonna give them a 10 for character design. I think that most of the time they hit with everything, and every skin that they really produce is really good. Like if you're gonna go into a game just to, you know, get some eye candy, I'd say this is definitely the sweetest of the variety that you could possibly look for. Okay, so now we're gonna look at the story here. As you can see, like each story has its own unique, got its own unique map that you go and you walk around, and then each of these red raptures that you see is a battle that you get into, like you go up. And even like just like this, before you go into the battle, you could see like the little guys fighting each other. It's really cool. Adds like a little extra layer. You could just let them just shoot at each other like this forever, right? And then I got on 24/2. There's 30 chapters currently in the story. I'm not fully through it, but what I have experienced in the story has been absolutely incredible. Like this is some of the best story that's been written in a gacha game, like without even a question. Like you could say what you want about the combat and everything else, but the story that they made, the main story that they have, is great, and a lot of the events that they do that connect somewhat to the main story is also just really good. Like the way that you have to deal with like the commander learning how to be a commander as well. Like with commanders, you the main character, the main character, right? And then dealing with the counter squad, which is like your Nikke squad, which none of these characters are part of the counter squad. I could show you like the counter squad real quick, and then obviously like these two are just like different versions of them the game has put out. But these are your three main for the counter squad, which is the squad that you as the commander take around and you accomplish things with. And the story doesn't hold back with like the dark, gritty themes as well. Like going through the main characters and main story and finding out more things about Modernia. I'm not going to say anything else about her at this junction because it can be a slightly spoiler story. And even with this skin, you're not going to really recognize her right away. But she has a very important role, like in at least the very first half of the story and later on too. And she's like such a really good character. The story has been absolutely incredible. I'd say this, as much as the game kind of takes a little bit of flack for its marketing and for like the character designs that it has, you know, whatever you want to say, the story is something that you cannot sleep on. It has like the best gacha story that I've ever really played. Like it's better than Genshin's story without a doubt. It's better than Arcanite's story. And as much as I love the Honkai Star Rail story, like I think that Nikke as an overarching like plot and like the grittiness and the more adult themes that are in it, I mean like, you know, blood and gore and stuff, like obviously like you see some of the themes already, right? Some of the adult themes. I'm talking about like the more gritty bloody side of adult themes. It kind of trumps every other gacha story I've played, like even with HSR, and I've only gotten through like about 2/3 of it right now. Like I still have all this to get through as well. But you see, like even like let's go to this here, let's just go to another part of the story here. Even with the story here, you see that it has a completely different map, a completely different terrain, and you see like the turret, like a turret here, destroyed structure, and like even like and another turret here, even like these parts of the map they're carefully crafted to go with how the story is currently progressing as you're making your way through the entire thing. So without a doubt, the story gets like a 10 for sure, like not even close. And even with the event stories, some of those get like a 10. Like if for no other reason, play the game for the story. 100%. The story is incredibly good. There will be moments where you feel super angry at a character. There'll be moments when you cry over what a character does and says and how they react to things. And it hits. It always hits. The next topic that we're going to get into is the combat in the game. But before we get directly into that, I just want to take a quick second to talk about how the dailies work with this game. You know, there's a lot of things you can collect, which is like skill up materials, equipment, all this other stuff. So you know, like there's relic domains, there's relic caverns, all that good stuff in like HSR. Yeah, and then Genshin has like the domains and stuff. This game has the arc, which is what this room is. You'll see there's like a very clear arc button here on the main. Show it to you real quick. This guy right here. So the arc is where you do a lot of the daily quests for Lost Sector, unlocks for the main story. So when we talk about Tribe Tower, Arena, Simulation Room, and Interception are like your daily stuff. So just so you know, this is what the things you're going to be grinding out day by day to get more equipment and more everything else. So we're going to go into the hardest mode of it just so I can show you what the combat looks like real quick. So this is the main big boss team that I always use. This is probably one of the strongest teams in the game, especially since Crown, which is this character, just came out, and she like completely warped the meta. Before it was the twin bunnies, right? And the twin bunny girls, they look great, all right, but now it's Crown. And because you don't have to use the second twin, you open up a third slot here to have triple main DPS. So it's kind of like how Ruan Mei came, and now you can have dual DPS, right? Crown came out, and now you could run triple instead of a double, right? So let's just go and look at how the combat looks. This is like the hardest mode of the daily challenges that you can do. This is how you get some of your equipment. So this will kind of tie into the equipment as well. But we're basically talking about combat right here. So as you can see, you have the timer. That's how long you have to complete a mission. You can see how much damage each character is doing, and then they have the buffs here. You click on them, you can see exactly what buffs that they have from other characters using their burst skills, having their passive skills. Like you can see the skills here from her. She could affect herself with some skills. You could check their HP. I don't think you could check their defense in game, which is fine. You can see what their attack power is at, their current level, which I had a higher level than 200, but this specific game mode's locked to a certain level. That's another thing this game does, is sometimes for content it'll be like level locked at level 200, level locked at level 250, and that means not only that if you're over that level you'll go down, but if you're under that level you'll go up. So you're able to do some of the harder content in the game just by trying it out. So a lot of this game's challenge and skill comes from how you aim, what parts you break off, and what the characters have on them individually, which is the equipment and how much their skills are leveled up, and like the box, the box, my little Cinnabat reference, the box, you opened it, I came. Yes, you all know. So that right there has something to do with it as well. So those are like the main things you really got to upgrade, but also those, you know, they take a while to get there. So without further ado, let's get exactly into the combat. You could check every character, what they all do. So let's get straight into the combat. So what I like to do is block that. Now the first thing you want to do for hit this guy is you want to hit the parts. The way that parts work is they have the individual health bars on them, and when you break parts they do exceptional damage. It's kind of like a break effect, right? So they'll do additional damage, and it'll also take off things they can do. Like when you break the core for this guy, it means that he's not going to be able to do like a super powered jump compared to like a normal powered jump. When you break off the missile launchers, you saw the missiles, they're not going to be able to shoot missiles anymore. And also a cool thing is when you go into the burst, like you can see the burst here, when you go into burst and it hits burst 3, then every Nikke will follow your pointer, and they'll shoot exactly where your pointer is. Otherwise they shoot freely except for the one that you're controlling. So that's just a quick little showcase into the actual combat of the game. The entire game's gonna work with that. It kind of reminds me of how arcade games worked, where you're playing like House of the Dead, right? And you're like, bang, a zombie shows up, bang, zombie shows up. It kind of reminds me of that a little bit, except, you know, a lot bigger numbers, a lot more enemies when you're shooting at robots, right? So the combat itself is pretty simple. A lot of it comes from exactly when you want to time things in harder difficulty modes. Like I'm able to get through this because it's a daily challenge, so it's not supposed to be super hard. When you get into the really harder content like solo raiding, union raiding, the end game stuff in the story that has like super high levels, you're gonna start needing to time things, because you saw how the burst skills are going off by themselves. That's because there was that auto button, right? That auto button at the top left. And that auto button is just like that it'll control the burst skills for you. But sometimes you're gonna have to do it yourself. And then they'll go on like ASD, so that you can hit the buttons to like call certain characters. Obviously you have a burst 1, burst 2, and then burst 3. This right here is a triangle because she has 3 bursts. For some reason she could go 1, 2, and then 3 all by herself, and then has cooldowns for it. It's kind of nuts. That adds a level of challenge into the actual gameplay. The manual controlling with manual activating burst skills when they need to happen. Characters like Alice, which isn't her. Let me show you Alice real quick. Characters like Alice are notorious for needing to be manually controlled throughout most of the game, hitting burst skills manually, shooting manually, because she still has charge things. So you want to be able to charge pop as fast as you can to get the most DPS, to maximize your DPS. So there are some levels of complexity in the game that you can tap into, but if you don't want to tap into any of that, you just want to let the game play itself, there's the auto button. So just like with things like AFK Journey, AFK Arena, whereas the AFK thing is like you don't have to touch it at all and it accumulates resources. This game you could actually just like not touch it at all, but you have to like go into the combat, right? But then you just not touch it and you let it auto clear. You can totally do that. It has AI and it can do that stuff. So for things like the dailies and stuff too, and then once you clear it too, you can just like you could quick battle, auto clear, get the exact same amount of rewards too. So there's, you know, manual combat for harder content and auto combat for the easier content. And I think that the combat itself, even though it's very unique in its design It's not the most fun combat, but it's definitely not the worst combat either. I'd give combat, like, in my personal opinion, I really like it. Some people are not going to like it. I'm going to give it a 9 because I personally like it. However, if you, on the other hand, were to give it something like a 7, completely understandable. But just me personally, I would give the combat a 9 here. Now, while we're on this page, we're going to be jumping straight into equipment. This is the hardest mode, the hardest interception that you can do. And if you clear it at stage 9, which is the hardest, you have an 85% chance of getting one of these boxes, right? The EX9 boxes. And these boxes, they have just the normal legendary gear, but then they have the type selected legendary gear as well as the custom module. Now, what's important about having 2 different types of gear is that these can be leveled up to 5, and then these can be leveled up to 5, overloaded, and then leveled up another 5. I'll show you exactly what that means right now. Now here with Alice, I moved my camera a bit so that you could see down here, but this right here is the gear that you can get. You have the tier 9 alloy arm guard, and then you have the tier 9 boots. But the important thing is it has this little tetra symbol up here at the top. There are a bunch of different manufacturers for the Nikke, right? One of them being Tetra, and you can see that she has the T here, which means she wants Tetra gear. And what that means is that on the Tetra characters with the Tetra gear, you can overload it from tier 9 to overload, which is kind of like a pseudo tier 10. And what happens when you do that is obviously they go, and then you could level them up 5 more times, but also that you get these little modifications here. It's kind of like the stat rolls, right? Now, something important to remember is that once you overload a gear on a character, you cannot remove the overload gear from that character. It is locked on. But in this game, it's fine because it's not like how with HSR, each relic set does different things. These gears always have the exact same stats for exactly what they are. The things that change is the equipment modification effect. So when you're like overloading a gear, you're locking it to that character so that you can't just swap out the equipment back and forth. It's like their way to get you to keep playing, keep doing the daily grind, right? So with change effects here, you can use a custom module to randomly spin these 3 again. Let's do it. I randomly spun these 3 and I got max ammo over hit rate. And personally, I think for her that max ammo is better. So we're going to change effects. Okay. The effect is now changed. Reset attributes. What that does is that changes this number here. So let's just roll it. See, the effect didn't change, but the percentage on it did change. This is lower. I don't really want it, so I'm going to keep the effects. When the number is in blue like this, it means that it was quite a high roll. And you could go in here and look at probability info, and you could see exactly how high the roll can get. The highest roll is 85.37, and we are at 81.26. So we are in part of the high roll here. Now, max roll is going to look like this right here. See how it's blue, but it also has the black background? That means that this was a max roll. We're going to look into the probability info. We're going to go to hit rate. The highest it can be is 14.63. And this is 14.63. That means that when you get a roll and it's blue and it has the black background, you hit the jackpot on that roll, and it's great. And you probably, even if it's not on the character, you want to keep it. I'd say there are a couple of exceptions, like if it said something like charge rate, right? And you have a character that doesn't have a charge, then you're going to want to just re-roll it even if it's a max roll, because overload, you can't take it off, right? And the only characters that charge are rocket launchers and snipers. Obviously, you hold the sniper and it charges up like from 0% all the way up to 100, past 100, boom, shoot, goes back to 0. Rocket launchers, same thing. That's what charges. So when you have this right here, when you have the black background with the blue text, that means that's a max roll and you want to keep that. And equipment is fairly easy to get. You just do the interception every day. When you clear certain parts of the story, it'll give you the equipment box, which is this right here. That's what we were just going for. We got 20, and you need, like, each thing round of the interception gives you 20, and you need 200 in order to get a random piece of gear from here. It is random, it is RNG, and it's gonna take a while. Equipment farming in this game takes the longest, but it is also the least restrictive. What I mean by that is that the equipment boosts their power immensely, but to do most of the content, they don't need to be boosted immensely. The boosted immensely part comes in when you want to clear like the final end stages of certain stories, certain challenge modes, the raids, if you want to do higher percentage in the raids. Like, I have pretty solid gear, and with that solid gear, there's currently a solo raid going on. If you clear all the stages, you get here, and I can just check right here at what rank I'm at. So I'm in the top 5%. I was at the top 3 earlier, but more people started playing it. That's unfortunate, but that's also kind of fine. But with my insanely overloaded gear, I'm in the top 5% of players that play this game, right? That do this challenge mode. Unless you are going for something like this, where you're trying to get up to like the top 1%, 0.7, 0.5, what have you, the gear is not going to be as detrimental to you just playing the game for the story and doing some of the challenge content and having fun with it, right? Because a lot of this game, if you want to get into like the higher percentages, like all this stuff up here, you're going to have to spend a lot of money. So I wouldn't recommend that. If you get somewhere like here in the top 10, top 15, like anything like above the top 40% even, like you're just going to get some free gems. Like, I mean, is it like, think about it, is it really worth it to spend, you know, $1,000 to get 600 more gems than what I have at 1,200 gems? And even then you might not be able to hit that. So the actual equipment side, with how you acquire the equipment, how you use the equipment, how you put it on characters, all of that, it's honestly not that bad of a system. It can be frustrating when you don't roll what you need to roll over and over and over again. So it is RNG, but that's just how this game goes with when you roll the dice. So I think that for equipment specifically, because there's no things where you have to swap sets around, you have to farm multiple sets, you just farm one thing, you get your random equipment drop, and then you hope that it's for the character that you want, and you just RNG that over a long time. It is time consuming, it is not difficult. And using the equipment modules, which is a very limited resource that Blue Crystal lets you spin on it, that's not super important. The substats help, but it's not nearly as important as in Honkai Star Rail. So I think that for equipment, I'm going to give it an 8. Because while it is RNG dependent and it can be frustrating, it is also not difficult and not as necessary in a game that also has RNG, like the MiHoYo games. So I'm going to give it a solid 8. Now we are moving on to the stamina system, or in this case, the lack of a stamina system. So in this game, in Nikke, Goddess of Victory, you can progress throughout the story as far as you want up until you're not strong enough to do so. And you go into here, you see my power versus the recommended power. Now, recommended is the key term here, because you can fight anything, but the higher deficit between the enemy's power and your power, the more damage that they're going to do to you. And in this case, where I'm 50,000 points over them, the more damage I'm going to do to them. So that's why you have things like meta comps, meta teams like this, to where they are where this team is designed and it's strong in scenarios where their power is a lot lower. So this team can push 30, 40k beyond their own power level to go in. As you could see on screen right now, there was the tower system with the pilgrims. There is the deficit between my power and the enemy power, and I was still able to clear those 3 with that team specifically. So the recommended power is exactly what it says, recommended, but you are going to hit points to where you just can't push through anymore. And what happens when you can't push through anymore is you need to just level up your characters together so that they have a higher, level. They have a higher level. Things also infect your power are your equipment, your skills, all that stuff. Now you're wondering, how do I level all these characters up over 200 levels? This seems insane, right? Wrong. You will level up 5 individual characters up to 200, and then things change. I'll show you exactly what I mean in the synchro. In the outpost, you can set buildings up anywhere that you want. You have a bunch of different buildings, but we're focusing on the synchro right now because we're talking about the stamina system and character levels, right? So what you do for this, you can't see it here anymore, but before you hit level 200, there's going to be spaces up here for 5 Nikke. And you need to get those 5 Nikke up to level 200. And once those are all at 200, every Nikke in here sinks to 200. And then you just start doing individual levels for these materials here. Now, getting these red balls here, the core dust, is the most uncomfortable pain in the ass because it comes in slowly over time. However, it gets even harder once you surpass 200. So it's a slow grind. Take your time. Don't worry too much about it. You're gonna be okay, because it's just a time sink to get you to keep playing the game, to keep leveling your characters, to keep pushing further. That's why there's a recommended power, not a you have to have power, so you could push beyond what even your enhancements let you do. What you need to do in order to get to 200 is to have Nikke that can be leveled to 200. Now, the Nikke that can be leveled to 200 are the purple ones and these gold ones. And how you determine if they can be leveled is with these stars up here. So when you get 1 star, it allows you to level them to 120. 2 stars is 160, and then 3 stars is 200. You need to get 5 of them up to 200. And then once they're at 200, they all sync like this, and you go individual levels, and then it doesn't really matter after that point. You're gonna have to get some characters, do some gacha spins, get lucky. But all of that is a very achievable, because this game is very friendly when it comes to giving out free spins, and you will be able to get there in time without question. I think I was able to hit the 200 and go beyond that in less than a month. It really wasn't that hard. As you're pushing through it, it's a little difficult, but it's not too bad. And there's a lot of the stuff that this game gives you to help you out too. One of those things that it does give you is this day-by-day event. As you can see, there's slightly less than a year of it left. And this has been out since the game first came out, so it's like 2 years of you could start the game and you get rewards. See, it gives you a bunch of stuff as you go day by day by day by day, all the way up to day 14. It just keeps giving you stuff as you do things like this. And then once you complete 70 missions, you get the SSR Privacy, which is a very free unit. And for the early to mid game, I used Privacy a lot. Even now, she's on team 3 with the reload team. So do not, sleep on her. You'll get her. You'll be very happy with her. This is her original outfit right here. This is what she looks like. But she will help you carry you through a lot of things, including things like PvP and whatnot. So you just get that for free. Then the game continues to give you things like your pulls and all that good stuff. And to get up to 3 stars, you'll get this ordinary recruit, and eventually you'll have a wish list where you can just put 15 on here. And if you pull a 5-star, or 5-star, right? If you pull an SSR, which is the 5-star equivalent, it's guaranteed to be one of these 15 for sure. So this is like a way for you to narrow down your selection so that you could start hitting what you need, so that you could hit the 3 stars, so that you could level up to 200 and then level up beyond that. It's a pretty good system. My final thoughts on the stamina system, which is the lack of stamina system in the power grading, is that it functions very well. There was also a worry about the power level being a bit too high in some parts of the campaign. So what ShiftUp did was actually lowered the power level necessary to do some of the campaign. So now more than ever, you can get further in the story with the less power. So it's a great time to start, especially with the event that's going on right now. I would highly recommend to jump right into it when you can. The stamina system, having no stamina system, you can go as far as you want, is great. But also, once you hit that cap, you can't wait for more stamina to come out to do it. So it is also more restrictive than something like HSR, to where you can just go through all of it and you just beat the entire story in like a single day, right? Like each patch, a new story comes out every single day, right? This one is more restrictive on the story. You have to hit certain power levels to do that, but the story is also better. So I'd say the stamina system for this game, I'd probably give it a 7. It would be an 8 if power level wasn't so high later on, but because in the later parts of the story, where even after reducing the power, it is still relatively high, it can be a bit of a brick wall for newer players getting into the game. So in good faith, I can't give the lack of stamina system more than a 7. The next we got up is events. Now, there are events where it comes in as like the recruitment pickup, right? That's not really like an event. That's like the banner character, the skins for the character, and then you have stuff like this right here, which is the current event, Last Kingdom. Now, it's also the 1.5th anniversary for Nikke that's out right now, so it's a great time to start playing. But this is how the event looks. You jump into it, it shows you the opening screen, and you get to see an entire unique field for the event. Not all events have a unique field, but the important ones do. You have story 1 and 2. Story 1 gets opened right away. Story 2 gets opened later, and then challenge mode for story 2 gets opened even later than that. It's a constant progression throughout days. Now, the difference between this and the campaign, the event story and the campaign story, is that with the main story, the power level scales super high, whereas in this, the power level is scaled super low. So even if you're a somewhat newer player, you can do the entire event story like without any problems whatsoever. It's like baby mode easy. Let me just show you real quick. And then also in the event, you have a mini game in the event, the login stamp that you get once per day, the shop, and then the challenge mode. And all those give pretty good rewards. Now let's go right into here. We're just gonna click on this right here, right? So this is the hardest thing that I can click on because I've already cleared some of it. This is hard mode. Hard mode. It is at 11.5k power out of my 240k. So you can see that even newer players can do the entire event story, right? And you get rewards, you get the double rewards, you get the shop. So let me show you that real quick. And after you do the story and you get the rewards for the story, there's also the challenge mode and the login stamp. The login stamp just gives you a reward for walking up to it every day, right? And most events have this. So you see, you just claim it, boom, you get a free thing. That's amazing. That free thing was, and every free thing does matter and it does mean something. Because this is just an overall coverage video, I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty of every single little thing. If you want to see that video, let me know down in the comments below and I'll go into a deep dive in every single aspect of Nikke. But this is just an overview of it to give you guys a general idea if you want to play or not. With the event as well, there is the challenge mode. Let's go here real quick. In the challenge mode, there are multiple stages. Each stage gives you a unique reward, as well as the reward info down here. These boxes are really good because it gives you a lot of core dust, and the core dust, like, remember, the core dust is one of the most important aspects to leveling, so this is very, very helpful. If you clear a stage one time, you could auto clear it up until the next stage comes out, which is this. It's not coming out until this time right here. So that means I just have to re-clear this stage. Boom, re-clear this stage, easy. Done, I get my rewards. Now, when you have new stages, it'll appear red, and on top of the reward you get here, you also get a first time clear reward. So you get both of those in each of the 7 stages. So that's important to keep in mind of as well. And then there's also a mini game for each event. Mini games are hits and they're also misses. The mini game for this event, Lost Kingdom, is a big hit without a shadow of a doubt. It is the tower defense mode. So as you can see right here, this is the current event. It is tower defense. Tower defense is super fun. Everyone loves tower defense, right? I love tower defense at least. So this event's definitely a hit. There's also been things like Memory of Goddess, which was like a Vampire Survivors clone type of game. So some of the events have really good mini games, but then there's also things where it was the ReZero event, and it was literally like go to table mini game, and that event was stupid. It was like the worst event ever. And that's another thing with events too. Sometimes you get collaborations. I mentioned the ReZero event. Here's Rem with a unique skin. There was 3 skins for the ReZero event. Her like standard skin in the TV show, and then 2 more of them, right? There's also Amelia, but I don't like Amelia, so I didn't pick her up. Who does like Amelia, right? I just got her, and I got her sister. Where is she? Where is she? There she is. I got Rem. I got her sister Ram, which I'm still mad that they are an SR, but we could talk about that later. And then probably the most anticipated and the most hyped event was the Nier event, because it makes so much sense, right? Like, Nier is a game that's about androids finding their humanity, and Nikke has similar themes for being a bit different, but you could see even with, they have like the original. And then you also could get skirtless, and with that skirtless, you could literally... come on, they knew exactly what they were doing. So with the events that are built in the game, there's also collab events. You can see it like that. So I'd say the events I'm going to give a solid 9 to. 9 for sure, because they have events that are collaborations that are really good, individual events that are really good. But then there's also sleeper events that, you know, aren't really as great as before. One other little tidbit about events for you guys that are worried that you've missed a lot of them, right? In the command center, you can go into recollection, and in recollection, you have archives. In the archives, these are all past events that have happened. You can replay any of them, like this right here, Red Ash. This was the 1 year anniversary event, like one of the best story events ever happened. You can unlock it and you can play it. In a event that comes out, you get to earn a memory film, like a new event, right? So with every event that you do, you earn a memory film, and you can replay an old event with the memory film. So you are not locked out of old events. It is just somewhat time gated since you did miss them, but it's also your choice. You can replay any event that you want to without having to worry about it. Now, the only events that aren't in here specifically are collaboration events. Unfortunately, collaboration events and the collaboration stories that are part of those events, you are not going to be able to redo, which is a bit unfortunate, but it's also understandable. Also, you can go and any of these, this is all the chapters in the game too. You can replay the story for any chapter that you've done, right? Super easy. The favorite part of any gacha game is, of course, the gacha. How this gacha system works: 3,000 crystals to do a 10 pull. It's definitely one of the highest, most, like, you know, almost egregious amounts for a 10 pull that you could possibly have. However, the game gives a lot of free crystals. Like, I went and I played 2 story chapters yesterday, and I was able to do 30 pulls after just playing 2 story chapters with the amount of free crystal that it gives you. The events give you things like 10 pulls of these advanced recruitment vouchers. It gives you about 10 of them. It gives you a bunch of crystals. And if you do spend money, it does cost a lot for crystals, but there's also like packs that they do where it's like you get 8,000 crystals for, like, you know, 100 Monopoly money, right? So you get 8,000 crystals, but then you also get 40 tickets. So you get like 60 pulls, which is like only slightly better than stuff like HSR, Genshin Impact. Now, what makes this both better and worse is the probability, right? So getting your 5-star is 4%, and then your featured 5-star is 1%. For non-pilgrim banners, this would be 2%, but since it's a pilgrim, it's 1%. So the way that works is a little different. But whenever there's a new banner, you just click probability on phone, you can tell whether it's 1% or 2% for that specific character. Now, caution. This game does not have pity system. It does not at all. You can do 100 pulls and never hit an SSR. You can do 100 pulls and hit an SSR every time and miss crown every single time. Even with that being 1% out of 4%, which is like, you know, a 25, like 25% chance, right? You could miss crown every time. So it can be stingy, it can be greedy, and it can, of course, make you frustrated beyond belief. However, how they get around this and give you like a hard pity system is that they have these gold tickets, and then they have these silver tickets. Silver tickets are from the standard, the ordinary recruit. Gold tickets are from the pickup banner. Gold tickets never go away once you've earned them, and gold tickets will remain on your account until you spend them in the mileage shop. The mileage shop, you can buy cores with the black the silver tickets for other Nikke that are currently in the store. There's a certain rotation of them. There's a certain limitation of them. Buy these at your discretion. I'd say the ones that you should look out for are like leader, right? But also, because these are spare bodies, if you don't own the character already, it won't unlock the character. This is just like to give it like an extra star, right? And then the 200 gold tickets, you can buy the character that's on the banner straight up. So what I would recommend doing is, you know, using all the pulls that you have to get the characters that you want. And the moment that you get them, you stop. You get them once, you stop. You don't need to get stars in this game. It's not necessary. The only thing that stars give you is obviously if you get every star gives you like a little bonus to your stats. And at 3 stars, it allows you to change the lobby background to the ult of whatever character it is. This is both good and a bait, because they're baiting you to do it get a character 4 times to get 3 stars. But it's also good because you get them in the background. But if you get something like, let's say, a skin, like the Modernia skin, you could put the skin's ult as a background, and that doesn't require multiple stars. You could just buy the skin. So it really just depends on what you want to do. You can set up 5 lobby backgrounds here. So all things considered, this system has been both extremely generous to me and extremely punishing to me. And you will have a similar experience. There will be days to where you just get super lucky and you get everything and things are super happy. And there are going to be days when you spend 100 and you get nothing. Let me just show you the animation real quick. Recruitment. So this is a 10 pull. So you can see the 10 Nikkes on there. No humans allowed. And then you pull it up. Purple. Boom. Nothing. Now, when you're doing this, when it shines purple, if it shines gold, that means that you get an SSR unit. And sometimes it'll go purple. And then when it turns to open, sometimes even though it's purple, it'll open and it'll be gold anyways. And that's what we call in the industry a spook. And that's like oh man, I wasn't supposed to get this. Oh my god. And what happens when you get a spook is there's a pretty much almost a guarantee that you're going to get a pilgrim, or it's a very high chance you're going to get a pilgrim. Pilgrims are like some of the best characters in the game, so it's really good. Gacha wise, I'd say it's like as free to play friendly as something like Punishing Grey Raven. Like both Punishing Grey Raven and this game have incredibly generous rewards and gifts and free summons and all this other stuff. Definitely more than Genshin, definitely more than HSR. I'd say this game and PGR are almost tied with it, but this game, unlike PGR, has no pity system except for the 200 pull tickets. It's ridiculous, right? But then the 4%, it's pretty high. So all that bundled together, I give the Gacha a 7. It would be higher if there was a better pity system, for sure. But because there isn't, and there's still the possibility that you will get absolutely reamed by the unlucky RNG, it's a 7. I've already touched on rewards quite a bit in this, so I'll make this section pretty short. Rewards come in a variety of things you get in the mail, things that you get from completing stuff like your solo raid, your union raid, your co-op, all that other good stuff, and from events. So when you actually go in and you go into this event shop here, as you can see, there's 10 pulls of the advanced, 10 pulls of the normal, and then all these other little goodies as well. Crystals can be purchased from the store. They're usually given out heavily just throughout the game in general from the company. In the daily missions here, you get 100 crystals per day. The weekly, it has 300 in there, I believe. Every time you do a chapter, you get you see it's like 10, 10, 10. That's like, oh my god, that's so bad. But when you're early on in the missions, like chapters like 1 through whatever, you get way more crystals than this. The beginning of the game is super generous. So it's not just 10, 10, 10. There's way more. And then you get things like clear this chapter, get a ticket. Clear this chapter, get a ticket. Complete a certain amount of challenges, get crystals. Certain amount of challenges, get crystals. And it's like every 10 or so. So if you get 200 per 10, that's, it's quite a lot of crystals. In the mail here, you get things like the reward here, anniversary gift. We just got a free 10 pull. Union raid, you get the union chips to help you out. You get broken cores to do some other stuff in the shop. 10 pull. It's very, very generous, right? Now the broken cores here are definitely one of the most important that you can just acclimate from playing things from doing co-op. And that lets you buy 250 gems a week, all these other things as well. So this game for sure has a lot of free rewards that it gives you. It is without a doubt some of the most generous rewards that I've seen. I think that PGR beats it slightly, but the rewards are still really, really good in this game. It's better than Genshin. It is better than HSR, even with HSR, free 30 pulls a patch. This game could give you sometimes 50 pulls like a patch if you're doing things correctly. So it really just depends on where you sit your money value at. If you ever want to do, you know, we do a little bit of whaling, you know what I'm saying? So with that in mind, I'd give this game's reward system a 9. 9 for sure. The final thing we are going to look at here, which wasn't in the HSR video, is going to be the PvP arena, Nikke versus Nikke. There are 2 arenas. You have the rookie arena, which is 5, which is, you know, 1 team versus 1 team, and then there's the SP special arena, which you have 3 teams to build a defense and an offense, and you battle with, you know, best of 3 in that scenario. If you look right here, you have team 1, 2, 3 for attack, 1, 2, 3 for defense. If you go into attack someone else, you can check all 3 rounds. You can change the formation for your teams, and then you go and you battle them out. It is auto battling. You do not affect it whatsoever. And then there is the rookie arena, which is just you have your defensive team, which they fight against, and then you have your attacker team, and you click on a guy and you start the battle, and there's the quick battle function as well. Again, auto battle. Like, I'm not even gonna, like, I should win this, but I'm not sure. I'm just gonna, it has quick battle on, right? Just let it do its thing. You can, like, eat a little bit here, you know, snack, like take a drink. Auto battle is done. I won the match. Now, if you want to, I'll show you exactly what it looks like without the quick battle. This guy has like negative points, right? So we'll turn quick battle off. And then this is what the combat looks like for arena by itself. It's kind of like the overboard story map where you have like the 5 chibis fighting each other. See, you can see right here. And then they go against each other. Easy. So that's what the arena looks like. It eventually gets to a point to where it is you spend money or you can't hold first place. And when I had kind of a problem with this game of giving into my own greed and giving this game a bunch of monopoly money, right? For a while, it was because of arena. So arena is both fun to do, but it's also a trap. So you need to be very careful here. Don't let arena control how you want your account to look, because if you do, you're going to end up being a Leviathan that has spent oil money on the game. So with caution, be cautionable about the arena. Is the arena fun? Not really. I mean, you just watch the auto battle and you do the team formation, and by do the team formation, I mean you go on to Nikke GG, or you go on to Google and you type in what is best arena Nikke team, and then you just throw it in there and hope for the best. Like you can strategize a bit about yourself, but there's definitely metas in this, just like anything else, and if you don't follow the metas, you're going to get crushed and you're not going to be able to hold first place. And the rewards that you get from the arena, it's like, it's all right, it's all right, you know. PvP in this game is like kind of tanks it. It tanks. PvP is not that great in this game. PvP is like a 6. Okay, I'm giving PvP an official 6. It ain't worth it. All right, don't care about PvP. Just throw teams in there and hope that you can do decently. Don't make that your primary function for when you want to, like, you know, give a bit to the game. Okay, just between you and me. All right, let's just, you know, be honest. Now we've come to the end where we retally the scores. Character design 10, story 10, combat 9, equipment 8, stamina 7, events 9, gacha 7, rewards 9, PvP 6. Add that up, divide it by the amount that it was, and we got 8.3 repeating. We're going to round it up for easy mode, and we're going to say 8.5. This game scores, if I remember correctly, it was either the same or slightly higher than HSR in overall total. And that's about standard, since it's one of my favorite games alongside HSR, right? This game will not disappoint you in things that you do. So 8.5 for sure for an overall total score of this game. Call it, you know, the Metacritic, the Rotten Tomato, whatever you want, right? That's like the official score that I'm giving it. It's an 8.5. Now, with that final score, you have a seal that I'm going to put over here on this side, right? And that seal of spending is going to be the light spender. I think that beyond just getting a battle pass, right? Which is like things like you see up here, 1.5 anniversary battle pass, mission pass season 19. You get all these things, right? From doing the missions, and then you claim the rewards. This side's free, this side's paid, right? You get some good, decent rewards out of it. This game can be really fun, just free to play completely. But if you want the best experience you can get without having to be held back too much, getting, you know, a good amount of the Nikkes that you want, I'd say that going very light spender, which is things like all the battle passes, get the skins that you want to. That's another reason why light spenders, like, skins make the game super fun. You can see the characters in the way that you want. You know, some people don't care about skins. If you don't, more power to you, but the skins look great. So I would, you know, if you want to have your favorite character get, you know, dolled up a little bit, definitely I'd say the skins are worth it in certain scenarios. The costume gacha, little pricey, but you can discover that on your own. I think to get a guarantee of a skin, it's like $60. So, you know, that right there is like, whoa. But, you know, some people will pay that much for a skin. If you don't, you know, more power to you. The original outfit for characters, like my favorite character, Red Hood, the original outfit for her looks great. And as a bonus, because of the voting that happened, if you get into the game, Red Hood's skin is going to be, they're going to make a Red Hood skin, and it's going to be free to all players. So you should get in for that before you really lose out on that specifically. Even if you don't have a Red Hood, you might get her eventually. And skins that you get, you hold on to even if you don't own the character. So you get a free skin, and you just get to hold on to it until you get that character. Very important. But yes, light spender, I'd say, is definitely where you will feel the most comfortable with the game. You'll feel the best amount of progress. You'll have the most fun with it. If you just stay battle pass only, you might hit roadblocks a bit faster than someone that's a light spender. And if you're 100% free to play, you will hit those roadblocks even quicker. But when I say even quicker, that doesn't mean you're going to hit it day 2, day 3. I mean like a month in, you're going to hit a little bit of a roadblock. It's going to be smooth, easy sailing up until that point. It's going to be fun. You're going to have a great time. That's going to bring us to the end of this episode of Gacha Chronicles, episode 2, featuring Nikke, the Goddess of Victory. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to be updated on future uploads, leave a comment below. I just want to say once more, thank you guys so much for watching. It means a lot to me, and I will see you guys in the next upload. Peace.